Hey guys, in this video we're going to talk about some of my recent test equipment related acquisitions. There was two things that happened in the month of July that led me to buy some stuff. First, there was an auction in between Dayton and Columbus, Ohio for a company called Unitech Instruments. It was a calibration lab that was around for 40 years or so that had closed down, and they were liquidating all of the remaining assets. So I went there. I kind of had some high hopes for a few things. If you remember in one of my other videos here, I have this rack of calibration gear that I picked up a couple months back, and one of the things that I'd like to add to it is a Fluke 5220A transconductance amplifier for doing current calibrations. They had one there. Unfortunately, it went for more money than it was worth for me. It wasn't a horrible price, but I don't need it that bad. They also had a couple 3458As, Agilent ones, so like from 2001 to 2013 or so. One of them had option 002, the higher stability option, but they had errors on both of them. One would fail the self-test every couple of times you'd run it. The other one had some errors about the memory in them, and I wasn't sure if it was the calibration memory that it had lost, so I didn't bid very high on it, since those things cost about $3 grand to get calibrated, and I don't need one, but it would have been cool if I could have got one for under $3 grand. They went for like $3,500, which is, pretty close to what you can get one on eBay for in working condition, a bit more than that, but so I let those go. There was also some more modern Fluke calibrators, a 5500A and a 5700A, along with their matching amplifiers, and somebody got a deal on those. One of them was busted up from shipping, but it supposedly worked. They got that and the amplifier for $4 grand. The calibrator alone goes for like 20 on eBay, and the amplifier goes for another 10. And then someone else got the 5500A with the amplifier, which is I think a 5725A for $9 grand. But I'm not into it that much. I'm not going to spend that kind of money. And after that, it was just really slow. It was a hot, sweaty day. It was in a dark warehouse with no air conditioning, and there was so many lots of equipment to go through. Once I lost out on the big items, I stuck around a little bit longer, and I actually won two things, so I'll show you that here. So this is a decade resistance standard that was made by this company, and it looks like they pieced it together using parts from other brands like Leeds and Northrop or ESI. And what's cool about this is it's like the range on it is ridiculous. It's and they gave me a folder of all the data from it since it was created, which looks to be from 1991, so every annual calibration. And the range on it, if I can get this paper separated here, okay, it goes from 0.001 ohms up to 1 gig ohm in one device. So they said that's the only one that's ever been made. There's nothing commercially available that has that sort of range. And then there's the accuracy specification for each of the ranges. And this is the actual calibration procedure that they included with it, which is really cool since it's a custom-made piece of equipment. So I actually went through and I checked out all of these calibration documents going back to 1991. It was like 1991 to 2018, I think, was the last calibration, and it never needed an adjustment or a repair. They actually specify that on the last page. It's repair history. So this thing has stayed within spec very well. It's really hard to look inside the unit. There's a little hole in the back you can kind of see in, and you can see they use some really high quality resistors. There's a bunch of CADEC resistors. There's some HP 0.005% tolerance resistors in there. So here's the description of deviation and corrective action taken, and all the way back to 1991 it just says none. They did change the calibration procedure a couple times, and they also added onto this, I think, I don't think it had the mega ohm range originally, if I remember correctly. So this is your standard decade from 100K down to 1 ohm range. This is your mega ohm range here, and this is your milli ohm range. And it's all 4-wire. This is another setting that has 5 ohms that's trimmed in with this. They said it was used for calibrating temperature devices. They actually mention it here in the guide. Used for precision calibration of RTD measurement devices. So yeah, I got that. I'm pretty happy to have that. It's a really neat device. I didn't pay too much money for it, a couple $100. And what I'm going to do is, I'm walking around here. I have this Valhalla Scientific 2724A resistance standard, which is a really cool device, but it doesn't play well with everything. Like my Keithley DMM 6500 does not work with this. Or I should say this doesn't work with the DMM 6500, and it also goes for like $3 grand on eBay, so I'd rather get rid of it, and I'd be fine with this for what I'm doing. I'm just playing around in my basement here. So that's the first item that I won, and then the second item I won, this is really cool too. This is a Decade power resistor made by Clarostat. It's a model 240C. It's pretty old. So you got your standard ranges here, and it's 25 watts per decade, and they have the amperage rating listed on it here, and that seems to be in pretty good condition, although I think I might need to clean the switches on a couple positions, and that's going to come in handy. Like, so on the Tektronix curve tracers, there's a bunch of calibration steps where you need some 5-watt resistors and things like that, and I've always had to kind of piece it together from various other power resistors I've had, so to have this is going to be really nice. So that's about it for the auction. I'm kind of bummed I didn't stay later because I heard that there was lots. I actually drove my cargo van there from western New York to Ohio, about 6.5 hours, and I heard there was lots going for like $1. One of them was an entire table full of boxes. There was a lot of cool stuff. There was a whole box of ESI Kelvin Varley dividers. They looked brand new. There was a box full of HP extension boards for various instruments. Since this was a calibration lab, they touched all the equipment. There was walls of boxes of manuals that would have been nice to have. I didn't know what was in them. I mean, they were labeled like HP, this model to that model. So there could have been some real gold in there. I mean, I pay $50, $60 a manual sometimes for my equipment on eBay. But there was a bunch of professional test equipment buyers there, and they were driving the prices up pretty good on some of this stuff. I mean, in some cases they're paying more than you can get on eBay for, which I don't understand. So we ended up leaving and went over to the Air Force Museum in Dayton that day, which honestly was totally worth it. I'll post some pictures here in the video. And the cool thing about that was, in addition to all the planes and bombs and missiles and everything on display, is that a lot of that old stuff smelled like the inside of other vintage electronics. Like if you go in the bomb bay of the Convair B-36 bomber that they have on display, the bomb bay's open, you can walk through it, it smells just like the inside of an old tube radio. So I'm going to go out to the garage now and show you some other stuff that I got unrelated to the auction. There was a ad on Facebook Marketplace that a woman had put up. I believe her brother had passed away, and she just said oscilloscopes, and was on there a few days. Nobody wanted any of this stuff. So I went out, but the deal was I had to take all of it. So let's go take a look at all that. Okay, actually, before I go out in the garage, I'm going to cover a few pieces that I already carried downstairs. So there's an HP 400 FL AC voltmeter. It actually works fine. It's just slightly low on some of the ranges, so we'll go through and calibrate that in a video at some point. Just a Fluke 8050A multimeter. There's a bunch of Tektronix 7000 series you'll see in a minute, but there's two modules of interest there. There's the 7A29, which is the 1 gigahertz module, but this one has the option 4 variable delay. And there's another 7B10 time base, that's the matching 1 gigahertz time base. I have the 7103 that those will work in. Now this 7A29 has a tight knob here for the volts per division, so if anyone has any ideas on how this mechanism needs to be adjusted or whatever to get it to move better, I'm all ears. And I also thought that it was cool that this was labeled as Kodak, since I actually drove over an hour from where this Kodak building is. This is actually right down the street from me. Kodak Apparatus Division would have been Elm Grove Road plant, which closed in like 2000, so it's kind of neat to see it make its way back here. Alright, let's head upstairs. Okay, well, my garage is an absolute mess right now since I just kind of unloaded this stuff and threw it on the floor, so let's get started. We've got a Tektronix 585A scope with a Type 82 dual trace plug-in. There's also a Type Z and a, I don't know what model this is, 5354D. Don't know if it works, but it's all complete. All the tubes are in it and everything. There's a 549 storage scope. That was the only storage scope in the 500 series. Type CA plug-in. All the tubes and everything are in that as well. This one, I think, yeah, someone broke the fuse holder off, probably from moving it, so I haven't been able to try turning it on. And the power inlet's broken on the other one as well. Let's see here. So on the floor, I literally have stuff everywhere. This is a DC voltmeter, and it's a model, what is it, 412 or something like that? There it is. Model 412 AR. Okay. Next up, we have a frequency response test set, 739 AR. It's in pretty nice shape. And I believe that goes with this guy, which is over on the chair here, because I was opened it up to see what tubes are in it, because I heard it might have some good tubes in it. I'm not planning on stripping it for tubes, but it has two Tungsol 6550s, you know, American 1950s production Tungsols. Those can be worth some money if they're in good shape. I did pay her a few $100s for this lot of equipment, so I'm going to be getting rid of some of this stuff to try to make my money back, so I can, you know, that's kind of my rule. I buy test equipment. If I buy a lot of it, I gotta buy enough to hopefully cover it and get a bunch of it for free. There's a Ballantine, I think it is. Oh, Dumont oscillator down there. Some of this stuff's pretty rough. Got a regulated brightness source there, 100-foot Lamberts. No clue what I'd use this for. Oh, and all this stuff came from this company, Sierra Research, out of Buffalo. I guess they were like a Cold War era aerospace company. I can't find much about what they actually did or made though. Okay, over here we've got a HP 8403A modulator. We've got a 3490A multimeter. It's kind of interesting how this works here. It's mechanical. There's also another 5245L, which I just got rid of one of them, with a 5257A transfer oscillator. On the ground here we have a Polarad 1108A 6.95 to 11 gigahertz signal generator. There's a Tektronix TM504 with a bunch of modules in it. There's a DC501 counter, DM501 multimeter, SG502 and a PS503. There's a 575 curve tracer that I've already taken the tube out of to fix my other really nice one. And this one actually has the mod 122C, which my other one doesn't, so that gives it the 400 volt range there. And it also gives it the, I believe, AC sweep for checking the inverse of diodes. Your ranges, you go from 20 volts a division on a regular 575, it adds 50, 100, and 200. So this is the better model if you want to build a tube adapter. Okay, there's HP 460 AR amplifier. Alright, and here's the coolest thing out of the lot. This is an HP 205A audio signal generator from the 1940s, and it's in really nice shape. There's a sticker on top that says it was fixed back and works okay in 1995. Now, check this out. The asset tag on it, I don't know if you can see it because of the lighting, it says National Bureau of Standards. So I'm not sure if this was owned by the National Bureau of Standards or if that's something to do with its calibration, but that came out in 1940, and I found the flyer from 1940, and the one in 1940 looked a little more crude, but I went to the 1946 catalog and it looked like that one. So I'm guessing this is later production. I guess they, I'd read that they used it to develop proximity fuses for bombs in World War II, so that's pretty neat history there. On the floor here, there's a HP 211 AR square wave generator, and I'm kind of going in circles here, but some more stuff underneath the 205A. This is a Lavoie Laboratories LA593A pulse generator hiding in there. And there's a Cronheit 0.2 hertz to 20 kilohertz bandpass filter, all tube. It's a big unit. Okay, I'm gonna stop recording for a second and move over to this other table. This is a ME9G/U multimeter with a really sketchy mod apparently on it that says it can measure up to 10,000 volts AC, but I'm definitely going to pass on trying that. And it looks like I took the back cover off. It looks like this used some sort of custom batteries, and the owner of it changed it to use AA's and a C, it looked like. So here's another piece that I'm really excited about. This is a tube power supply for working with tube circuits. So it's actually two separate adjustable 600 volt power supplies that you can run in parallel or individually. It also has negative 150 volt bias supply and two 6.3 volt 10 amp supplies. So this thing's quite a bit more capable than my Fluke 407D power supply. Looks like it needs a knob. It looks like this meter could probably use a replacement. It's missing the glass. Really sketchy switch here covering up the high voltage symbol there. But this uses 6 807 tubes. I don't know if you can see them in there. There's a better view from the back. And it looks like someone modded it. They took the 5R4 out. There's two 5R4s normally. And I just see two wires going up into a bunch of like heat shrink tubing. So maybe they replaced them with solid state diodes. This is a Bunten, what is it? It's a megacycle meter. Not sure what that would be used for. Little isolation transformer. There's a Cronheit 420A low frequency oscillator. This is kind of cool. I haven't seen this before. The Sprague Trans Simulator for designing transistor circuits. There's not much to it actually. It's basically just a bunch of switches and terminals and resistors if you look on the inside. Some capacitors. Don't know what I'm going to do with it, but it's not going to get thrown out right away. Below that, oh, this is just a box with a Variac in it, but it was owned by Wurlitzer, which is cool because the Wurlitzer factory was in Buffalo, nearby where I found all this equipment. Heathkit impedance bridge. This is a PS501 for the TM500 series. This is a HP digital analog converter. Okay, here's my one of my other favorite pieces here. This is a John Fluke 710A impedance bridge. So you got your Magic Eye tube there. The build quality on this thing is really good, but check this out. I like how you can see this stuff happening below the plexiglass there. So that might be kind of interesting to fix up. This is a Ballantine voltmeter, AC voltmeter. And here's another really cool one. This is, I think, the same meter as this, but it's on a custom panel. It was for the US Air Force and Bell Aircraft Corporation. I don't know what PSL accelerometer means, but there's their service or their tag there. I really wonder if this was used when they were developing like the X1 and all the stuff that I just saw at the Air Force Museum a week prior. There's a few more things on the back. Bunten RF voltmeter, little RCA scope, and there was a bunch of other stuff here, but this is kind of my e-waste pile, just a bunch of junk really, some homebrew stuff. There's a little Sencor scope here, and then this is not junk actually. This actually seems to go for some money on eBay. It's a Bendix RIG-32A ILS audio generator. So aircraft related. And I did forget something over here. There's a pile of 7000 series scopes. That was one of the main reasons I went out there, was I was hoping that one of these 7904s worked, because I only have a 7704, but I have all the plugins to go above 200 megahertz. So the top 7704 smoked something as soon as I turned it on. But it does have two 7A16 modules in it. And the matching, the 200 megahertz time base and delayed time base 7B70 and 7B71, but they're pretty beat up. The middle 7904 also smoked when I tried turning it on. Getting caught up in this stuff. And that has two 7A26s, which is always nice. 7B70, and I'm not sure what that delaying time base there is in the third slot. But yeah, that one smoked when I turned it on. And then this bottom one, 7904, that actually had the 7A29, which I already showed you, in the 7B10. It has two 7B10s in it. And also a 7A19. So that one didn't smoke, but it was making a ticking sound. And that ticking sound I might be able to work with a little bit better, because I know that's related to the switch mode power supply. And these were owned by GE Aerospace, apparently, according to this sticker here. Let's see if you can see it. Alright, and there's a few more things that are still in the van because they're too big to move. Okay, this monster is called a Fluke Trendar 3010A logic tester. Looks like it takes punch cards for programming. And that's probably going straight to e-waste, to be completely honest, unless someone convinces me otherwise. It's huge and useless to me, and probably anyone else. Okay, I gotta remember, she did tell me I had to take everything. So there's a Heathkit CO2600 ignition analyzer for your car. It's a big meter there, and that looks like a black and white TV tube. The thing weighs a ton too. And the last thing is this. This is a HP 851B and 8551B spectrum analyzer. I guess that was the first microwave spectrum analyzer HP made. I haven't looked at it yet. I don't know too much about it. Supposedly goes to 40 gigahertz, but I think you need another piece to do that, because we only have an N connector down here on the RF section. Uses vacuum tubes, which is interesting. So it also weighs about 200 and something pounds, which is why I did not leave the van yet. I might just leave it in here. I don't need it. It's pretty beat up. Looks like he had a external AC fan that he stuck up to the back of it. But that one might just go up to the next Ham Fest and be sold right out of the back of the van. There was this guy as well. I don't know what it's for. It says oscillator 1,45 to 5,000 hertz. Bellman Invar Electronics. I think the coolest thing about this is these right angle vacuum tube mounts they got there. I've never seen those before. So, alright, well that's it for now. If you know anything about some of this gear that I didn't really touch on, feel free to post in the comments. I don't know what I'm going to do with much of it yet, but I did get some cool pieces that I wanted, and I was able to finally get a tube for my 575, so that's working mint now. So that alone almost made it worth it. So anyways, thanks for watching.